Hello, welcome to the Wasting Time podcast. I'm Chris.
And I am Nick, and this is this going to be our last episode before Christmas, or do you think we'll get a couple out?
It might be, but we're aiming for one more. There'll not be more than this one and another one, but hopefully there will be one more.
Well, if it's not, Merry Christmas, everyone. And I guess talking about kind of Christmas, it's that time of year where we all get our Spotify Unwrapped. I know we've been talking a little bit about that over WhatsApp and what have you. Is it worth us touching on that first a little bit?
I think we could do that. Yeah, remind me who was in your top five.
Military Gun was number one, purely probably due to the fact I played Do It Faster on repeat so much this year, just because I love that song. And that album, to be fair, that was a real big album for me over the year. So Military Gun number one, Pine Grove number two, which is a bit of a surprise for me. Yeah, just a different vibe for me this year.
I didn't know you were into them. I remember Joe from Beauty School talking about them.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what triggered it, really. I mean, I had definitely heard them before.
Yeah,
but not really given them the attention that I did this time around. So Joe triggered it, and I said, "Well, I'll give them a listen." And just went from there really. And I've been listening to a lot of their music. Interestingly, Megan from Full Court Festival,
oh yes,
from the Dirty Martini team, reached out to me the other day, and she was like, "Nick, Pine Grove, I can't believe." She's like proper a big fangirl for Pine Grove.
Oh, is she?
So we've been having a few conversations about that. But yeah, number two, Pine Grove. Just a different vibe as well. It's kind of indie, kind of emo-y indie stroke, kind of bit folky, bluegrassy, just a bit of a slower thing to kind of take you through the weekend when you're not wanting to listen to Military Gun all the time.
Yeah.
Men Singers. Obviously, they've released new music as well. Bleachers,
big favourite of ours.
Yeah, Bleachers they've again released music earlier in the year as well, didn't they?
Had an album in March. Yep, and a Christmas song very recently.
Bleachers number 4, and then Blink-182 number 5. Obviously, they had a big release as well. Well, it was this year that was released. One more time.
No,
the record.
Part 2 was released this year.
Part 1 was the back end of last year, though, wasn't it?
It was October, I think, last year.
This is another thing about Spotify Unwrapped, which you said to me on message the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm quite surprised State Champs aren't in my top 5, because I've absolutely been hammering that new record over the last couple of months. Another song I've been hammering is that Sink or Swim, I'm a Pacific song that's on Spotify.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I'm surprised that wasn't in. But you said that Spotify Unwrapped only takes your data from the up until the end of October.
I don't know this for 100%, but I've read people saying it online. I think it's actually the end of September, which would make sense because there's a lot of stuff I listen to in October that's nowhere near like my.
Okay, so the follow-up question to that, if that's the case, does my Spotify Unwrapped for this year take into account November, September, October, November, December from the previous year?
The last quarter, basically. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, was there anything you were listening to loads that came anywhere near?
Well, the Blink thing is obviously.
I suppose so.
It's like that. I'm sure that was October, November, wasn't it? Like
it would have been.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we saw Blink last year as well. So I was hammering Blink a little bit around kind of the Leeds festival time. But yeah, for this year, I was totally expecting State Champs to be on there. Potentially the Sink or Swim song being in my top songs, but that was quite recent, wasn't it? Like as much as I've had that Sink or Swim album on, like you've had that fucking 408 country song on, like country vibe song. What's it called?
All My Fault.
All My Fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is obviously, which links us in nicely to this episode, I guess.
It does, yeah.
But yeah, go on. You. What's your? Well, should I check? Should I do my songs as well?
Yeah, do your songs too.
Yeah. So top songs quickly. Tiny Moves by the Bleachers. Still keeping that going. It's been like a little thing for my little song for me and my daughter.
Yeah, you've said before, so kind of that makes it special for you.
Yeah, that's been kind of kept going. Do It Faster, which I've talked about being hammered. What's an Hour Really Worth? That Dangerous Summer song they released from the new album this year.
Oh yes,
that's
you're really into that. Yeah,
I just love that song. Yeah. Very High, which is another Military Gun song, and then Hey, which is the Movie Life track. Hey,
Oh yes,
just to figure it out. I just love that song.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
obviously I saw Movie Life on their 48-hour Train Back to Penn anniversary tour.
of course.
So yeah, so it was obviously getting back like hammered around that time. So there you go. Okay, what's your artists?
So number one spot went to the Men Singers, and I saw them this weekend, and it was great. You got Sum 41. I have listened to them a hell of a lot this year, and obviously we had Dave back on the show, so I was listening to them a lot around that and going to when I went to see them. Like yourself, Bleachers, always big into them. Post Malone snuck in there because I really enjoyed his country record, and then the other one is Reliant K, who we're both big fans of, and obviously they did 4 chords, so I was listening to them loads around that. And it's kind of continued, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm slightly surprised Reliant K didn't feature in mine because we were both very excited to see those guys after never seeing them.
Exactly, and they didn't disappoint, apart from not wanting to talk to us. But we will not take that.
You never know, might happen.
Yeah, we'll see. And then my songs were, so you got Dopamine from Sum 41 snuck in there, which is the one Nick Bailey, friend of the show, wrote or co-wrote. Try from the Men Singers, Bruce and I led that one a lot. That first Mest single, When We Were Young, when that first came out, I did play that a lot, so that's how that's got in there. And then 2 songs from my fellas in Sharp Eyes, their song Past Your Best and their cover of Kate Nash's Foundations.
There you go. Not Drifting Away.
I'm really surprised because I feel that I played that way more than those 2 songs. But that did come out in mid-September, so that kind of...
There you go. Yeah, I've played that a bit as well. Could have been featured. But
It's interesting, isn't it? So I guess by this way of thinking, if you're releasing music, don't release it in the final quarter of the year if you want the song to appear in people's Spotify Wrapped, because it won't.
And it's like so many people share it as well, right? So many people go online and share their Spotify. It's like a thing, So actually being featured on that is like, it's really good fucking PR for your band, like, isn't it? Like,
So you're best to release music in the first half of the year, really.
There you go.
Interesting.
Insight. But maybe let's seek some clarification on exactly the rules of
Yes. Before we
denigrate the whole thing.
Exactly.
What else have we got to talk about? We've got fucking beer, right?
We have, which is very relevant to today's episode. So our beer, like the artist we speak to today, is called 408. So shout out to Departed Souls Brewery in Jersey City. It's their beer, and it's done in collaboration with us and the band 408, which is it's very cool. I was very excited about this.
It's an 8% IPA?
8.16% IPA. So it's a DIPA, a double IPA. And what Brian from the brewery's cleverly done, it's double 408 is 816. So that's a nice little play on the band's name.
There you go. Well, that's cool because, we both love our pale ales. It's just...
We do.
A shame we're not in Jersey City and can't drink it.
So if you are in New York or Jersey City or anywhere around that region, get yourself to Departed Souls in Jersey City and try our beer for us and let us know how it is.
And maybe buy a few cans and stash them away.
Yeah, so we can try it on our next trip to the States.
I'm sure I'll have a shelf life. So
yeah, quality beer like that will do.
What else are we going to talk about?
Oh,
our quiz. Punk rock quiz. Yeah, so this week, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago from the time you listen to this, we released our punk rock quiz on Instagram, hoping to do it every month. We're doing it in collaboration with Punk Rock Saves Lives, which is a great charity over in the States who do a lot of work around mental health, around addiction, and also our friends at Smart Punk as well. They've come on board. They've been very kind enough to give us a $50 Smart Punk voucher as a prize for this quiz. So get involved, get on Instagram, have a go at it, see how many questions you can answer, and you might be within a chance of winning a prize. Although I guess this first quiz, the prize may have already been and gone by the time you hear this, but
it's true.
Go and get involved.
Yeah, do it for fun.
Yeah, go and get involved. Go and play it. Leave us a comment, like and share it, and what have you. So, test your knowledge, your punk rock knowledge, I guess.
Yeah, and shout out to our third member, Greg, who constructed the quiz because it's very impressive.
Yes.
With all that said, maybe we can go back to all things 408 and this episode where we spoke to the singer Mark. Mark, who we did actually meet when we did Four Chords in Pittsburgh in person. Did a segment with him there as well, but this was kind of a more in-depth chat that we did, and this was recorded before they released, as Nick said before, their country tinged song "All My Fault," which, if Spotify Wrapped considered the whole year, that would definitely be in my top 5 because I've been loving that song. So we unfortunately we don't talk about it in this chat because it wasn't out at the time, but they've had a huge year and there was a lot to cover. So I think we can just jump into it. Where is it you're based? Is it Florida?
Yeah, Orlando, Florida, yes.
Okay. So just late morning for you, I guess, as we record this.
Yeah, late morning. And yeah, you got a cool background back there. Were you in the UK?
I am. Yeah, I had to come into the office today, so I work at London School of Economics, so I've just hired a room at the top of one of our buildings. So this is central London behind me right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and these are my wardrobes.
Nick's up in the north of England. He's in Newcastle, which you might know because I remember from last time we spoke that you were into your English football, so you might be able to reference that football team.
Okay. Do you follow a team or?
I was a big Manchester United fan for a long time.
Oh.
I love Van Nistelrooy was one of my favorite players.
Okay.
But right now, I mean, I still just stick to the international soccer mainly, like the club. I do watch it from here and there, but I'm not as avid as international soccer.
Nice. Well, Van Nistelrooy kind of goes quite far back in Man United history, so yeah.
He was good.
He's a good player. He's actually, I think he's there at the moment, but they're not doing so well. He's
as a coach, he's got retired now.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I could be wrong.
Did you say you still play now? I think I remember you saying that to us.
I have a game tonight. I play in like a competitive adult league over here in Orlando. It's a lot of fun, and honestly, I miss it a lot when I'm on tour. So honestly, sometimes prefer playing soccer over going on tour. Sometimes, but it's just fun to come back to do that.
Kind of what do you do outside of touring, music, and the football as well? Kind of what does day to day kind of look like for you?
Yeah, day to day. It really just depends. So I work on a lot of online business stuff. Like I sell products online, supplements, like diet supplements, something like this. Outside of that, I'll just conceptualize other songs. Sometimes I'll get hit up to do some features and things like that for music. Bailey and me are always on the phone either 1 or 2 times a day talking about what's next, what are the songs we need to do, what are the marketing strategies we need to implement. Because today's day and age, it's definitely, I want to say, soul sucking for an artist to have to you have to be so involved in vertical videos on TikTok and Instagram Live, which is cool to an extent, but it's also it can get cumbersome for sure. Just having to conceptualize, and the way that the applications choose to push what is viral, what isn't, changes constantly. And that's very frustrating for an artist. I mean, that has happened. I've seen TikTok specifically change so much in the last 2 to 4 years, constantly, even year by year. It's just completely different on the content that they push. So you're used to filming content one way, and then they switch it, and then you switch to that, and then they switch it to another, and then you got to switch back to that. So it's just kind of like it gets you off your rhythm. But I'd say that takes up the majority of our time, is just really learning how to appease the algorithm.
Yeah, such a crucial thing to have to do these days. Just real quick on the subject of Bailey, I guess I didn't realize until I started speaking to him about this and some other stuff. Like, so we know Nick a little bit because he's been on the show, and like, you know, we're big Over It fans and stuff. So I know that he's been writing with you guys for a long time, but I didn't realize he was kind of on the management side of things as well, and like so involved in the band. And as you say, just you basically talking every day, and he's involved in the strategies as well.
Yeah, no, he's a right-hand man. I would say he's a very, very dear friend of mine. Yeah. And that has become that way over the last 4 to 5 years. But yeah, I mean, he's always writing for he's always writing a song. That guy's a monster. He's writing constantly. I don't think he ever runs out of juice. Whereas me,
Yeah.
I think I need to be inspired to write. That's always how it's been. I've never written uninspired, but that guy can write no matter what. So, but yeah, no, he's definitely involved.
How did that kind of relationship come about? How did you kind of connect? You say 4 years
So
ago.
I dropped a song with 408 back in, I want to say 2020, 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
He had found it on a Spotify playlist or something. He was like, "Oh, this band is sick." And then I guess someone he knew was posting about it, and he hit them up, and that person knew who I was, and then they connected him, and we got on the phone and we hit it off day one. Just he was like the coolest dude ever. Upon first meeting, I was like, "Holy shit!" And he's still cool, but it's just funny, like this conversation. He was just super nice. And he was just doing music at such a higher level than I was. I was like, oh man, I would love to, do some stuff with this guy. But he loved our band and wanted to work with us.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it happened.
He's so easy to talk to as well, man. Like the first time I
Yeah,
did a one-on-one
people.
podcast with him, could have gone all night.
Yeah. He's one of the coolest guys on this planet. He's done a lot. He's still doing a lot. And you can't really ask for much more than that.
I guess maybe let's kind of go back a little bit and tell us a little bit about the kind of early history of 408, kind of maybe even before the band, kind of what you were doing music wise, what you were listening to, your influences, and kind of that early journey in the band getting together. Kind of how did that come about?
Yeah. So I've been doing bands since I was I first started my very first band in high school. I think it was like middle school, and in middle school, early high school. I was like 13, 14. And I had been in a few bands there. I was mainly in harder bands because at the time, this was like 2004, 5, 6. And everyone really wanted to do, at that time, like more metal stuff. It was highly influenced. Kill Switch Engages was still one of my all-time favorite bands. And we have some of those flavors actually coming out on our new record. Like Rant, we'll have a couple songs that pay ode to that.
Okay.
And then A Day to Remember came along, and then another band I formed, old band, A Vital Message. It was a metalcore band where I'd sang and played bass, and there was a couple of members from there that I had in mind originally to start 408. But really 408 came around was I put music on pause from 2000 and I want to say 13 to 2016. I was finishing up college and I wasn't able to do it at the time. And then I got into the workforce, started making some money. And then I finally got to a place where I was like, okay, cool. I have extra time to invest into making a band the way I want it to be, because I've been in so many bands, so many different problems randomly here and there, members. I made 408 to never have those problems, as best as I could. But the first early songs of our band were me getting over like a big breakup in my life that happened in 2014. And I just wrote like 4 songs about it, dropped an EP. And then as I started to release the music, I started getting offers for shows locally in Orlando. But I didn't really have a band because I wrote it all myself, and I had like studio drummer come in, and I worked with my producer buddy, Jason Aaron Adams, who's awesome. He used to work with James Paul Wisner a lot on Go Radio, and he did some Paramore stuff, Hands Like Houses. Okay. He's done some cool stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of what happened is I called back some old members from my old project, wanted them to be the main guys in it. Didn't really end up working, just everyone got a little bit older, a little bit more difficult. And then I came across Nick and Nick. Jake had been a steady piece of the band since 2017, but then I came across Nick and Nick at the end of or beginning of 2018. And then I was always like, yeah, we should collaborate. And they had a different band, but 408 to continue to grow and release and collaborate, play live shows from 2017 and on. And then sometime around, I want to say COVID, is when me, Nick, and Nick were like, okay, I think this is the time where we join forces. because
Yeah.
408 was starting to get, underground notoriety, getting some good playlisting, and starting to build like a small fan base geographically around the United States here and there. And we saw it was the best move, just combine forces, and that's when we did, and that's when we were really hard on the socials, and we had some viral moments, and then we got signed to Big Noise with Feldmann, and we've just been steady releasing. Obviously, Nick coming on board was a massive steroid injection into the band, and really helped us like refine and make great songs. And now, we played some really awesome shows. We just did a tour with Bill Murray. That was a lot of fun. And but yeah, I think that's a good like small synopsis of just how everything progressed. And it's just always been centered around continuing to release and grow.
All right, thank you for that. That's a good summary. Couple of questions from that, I guess. Obviously you're on Big Noise, as you say. How did you get on Feldmann's radar? Was that via Nick Bailey, or how did that happen?
Yeah, Nick had sent us some songs, and we were like punk heavy at the time of their EP Generational.
Okay. Yeah.
And we had always been massively inspired by Blink-182. I mean, that's just really never changed. I mean, we've definitely added other influences since then, but he sent that over to them. And that, I think, was the middle of our viral moment we were having on TikTok. And John was like, I really like these guys. Let's have them come in and write. We came in and write a couple songs. We really vibed with him. I think he's a sick dude. To be honest with you, I think John has a lot of gas in the tank too. I think he can do a lot of amazing things. I never have gotten to work with someone where I looked up to their art that much. I mean, this guy really shaped me as a young adult. I'm sure maybe you guys as well, with the music he's made. And not even young adult, teenager, child, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool to get to do that. And I think he's got a lot to offer the space still.
Well, outside of the stuff he's done with you, what would you pinpoint as like your favorite Feldmann record, if you could pick one, or some contenders for your favorite Feldmann record?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give it to the Good Charlotte stuff, just because that was just massive at the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know he did some stuff with All Time Low, and that was cool. And he did some stuff with State Champs, cool. Like, obviously, California Blink at the time I thought was masterpiece. Not every song was my favorite, but they had some really, really good songs in there.
Yeah. And
that was like the revitalization of Blink. I know it's kind of weird with Skiba in it, but I thought he did a great job. And I thought that record's great. And I'd say California is definitely probably one of the top things he's ever done for me. But then really just the OG stuff, man. He did stuff with like I said, Good Charlotte. I think he did stuff with Story of the Year. That was very good. Did stuff with the Used. Like, he's done some crazy stuff. He did some stuff with Avicii. The list goes on. It's really surprises you when you look at how much he's done. It's like, damn, I didn't know he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've spoken to quite a few people who have worked with him, and they say the same thing. He brings a different level of like intensity and passion, and and it's not for everyone as well. We've spoken to some people who like struggle with that kind of that intensity that he brings. But like you say, Nick doesn't run out of juice, and I don't think Feldmann does either, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's cool. Like, he's a punk rock dude at the end of the day, and so are we. So it works, like, with the humor and his whatever, and whatever he's got going on. It's nothing we haven't seen or been like a part of our inner circle of our band anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah.
After working with Andrew Wade for so long, who I have to say, probably the most talented producer I've ever worked with, as far as his just straight mind and musicianship, along with Andrew Karpovic as well. They're both one and the same here in Audio Compound in Orlando. Andrew Karpovic's in Nashville now, but both of those guys are hyper talented. And so after working with them, going into John, it was, nothing, no big deal.
What about a notable guy who's written with you a few times? And we did touch upon this very briefly when we hung out in person, but it's Matt Thiessen from Reliant K. What's What's he like to write with? And were you like a big Reliant K fan prior to, working with him?
Yeah, massive Reliant K fan. That was actually the only band my parents would let me listen to back when I was like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, whatever. But yes, one of my favorite records ever to this day is the record that came out in 2004. I love
Yeah.
Forgetting Not Slogan in 2009. I think it was 7 years ago. It was 2008 or whatever the name of that record is.
Yep.
And then there's Two Left Will Make It Right. And then, they working with Matt, no disrespect to Bailey or Kyle Fishman. They are ultra talented, but Matt Thiessen just has the golden mind. I mean, that guy is he's very cool, but it's just how good he is you're born with that. He that's just something you're born with. It's an all-star, and he was amazing to work with him. All the songs that we wrote, which is rare in a session, are all great, and they're all getting used. Like every song we've written with him, I'm putting either on a record or an EP, which is pretty wild. Because as an artist, you write a lot of songs, you write a lot of different songs, and some get chosen, some don't. Well, we did this one. We've written with Matt a few times, but there was this one session in early 2023. We wrote 9 ideas, and at the time, over time, like some people were like, oh, I don't like that idea or whatever. They want to do a different one, and the other one stuck out over the other, whatever. Over time, every single song, it's like, why didn't we record this? This is great. And then we keep going back. Oh my God, we didn't even record this one. This one's amazing too. And then it just keeps going. So that's what, if you can kind of understand what that means, it's like this guy writes timeless pieces of art and just sticks the whole time. So that you can't teach that. That's rare. And it's been an honor to work with him.
Amazing. And the song Sometimes Forever, is that deliberately supposed to call back a bit of what's the song of theirs?
Who
I am hates who I've been, because I don't know if that's just a coincidence and just sounds like it because it's him, but it just feels like it's almost like a homage to it, and the cover art is obviously a bit was that intentional?
Yes, it was intentional. Matt was actually supposed to get on the track. I think they got into an album mode where they started to really focus on, I think Reliant K is dropping some new music next year.
Oh, okay.
Actually, we're going to do Reliant K 4A collab, which still will happen in the future. But
amazing.
That was the reasoning behind all of that, was supposed to be a homage to him. But either way, we still wanted to do that because he was a part of the writing process, and it was just a callback to their influence in our band.
Exciting stuff. Yeah, I mean, it'd be good to hear some Reliant K stuff. Did you catch their set at Four Chord?
Reliant K played Four Chord? Oh, they're on Sunday. Sorry, I didn't go.
They were the day after
you weren't around for that?
Yeah, no, I wasn't around for that. I wish I was. I saw him at When We Were Young in 2023 fall. That was sick. Loved it. I hope they're a part of Warped Tour, and I hope that we get to play some shows with them next year if they go on tour. That'd be fun.
Is Matt is that mainly what he's doing these days then, writing and
I think they're working on a new record of some sorts, whether that's an actual full album or not, but I know they're working on new music, and I think they're focused on some festival dates. I can't see why they wouldn't do Warped Tour. I know that they definitely will probably get offered that for sure. And I think that's what's 2025 is. I think you'll see them a little bit more active.
Good news. Yeah, we were very excited to see it, because to our knowledge, they've never been to the UK. I don't know if they've ever even been to Europe touring Reliant K. So
I don't think they have either.
It was a rare opportunity for us to actually see them live. So we were very excited for that.
So they got to play after the rain or whatever.
They got rained off for about 15-20 minutes. They evacuated the site, and then brought them back in, and then finished their set. I think that they only dropped a song or two, but the heavens opened when right in between their set.
Speaking of UK and Europe, have you guys haven't toured over here yet, right? Unless I've completely missed something. Is that something that's kind of in your sight in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I would love to I would love to do it. I think we would definitely wait for the right band to go over there with, whether that be like a Yellow Card or something like that, or some kind of band that we really look up to. I think we'd love to do that kind of UK tour rather than we could do it ourselves. We could do it, definitely do select markets over there and it'd be cool, but I think we're just waiting for the right band to jump over there and do some shows with.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
We've actually got Yellow Card over next month, haven't we? So
yeah, they're coming out. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was story of the year, I think.
Well, I mean, what's
go on next? Sorry,
I was going to say, kind of up to date, kind of what's been, you know, your best tours so far. Which ones have you enjoyed the most up until now?
I think the Bill Murray tour is really cool because everything was sold out. It was like 1,500 cap rooms. That was a lot of fun. That band's a really good band. I had a great time. I love touring with We the Kings. I think they're the coolest guys ever. They're a great band. So I'd say that's still probably.
You also had a song with, sorry to cut in, you also had a song with Travis from We the Kings, didn't you, as well?
Yeah. I would say that's probably my favorite, most fun tours with We the Kings. And then as far as our biggest, most successful tour, you could give it to Bill Murray. And then, I love touring with Magnolia Park and TX2. That was fun last year. And also we played a couple shows with Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, and honestly, those were a lot of fun. Those guys are great, and I think they got some new music coming out next year too.
Yeah, you did the so-called pre-show with them, didn't you? With that church in Pittsburgh. We were down.
Yeah. No, we played with them. We did some other shows after that. We did we did Charlotte, and we did Bristol, Tennessee, and they're dope. Real cool dudes.
You mentioned Magnolia Park there. Like, I think this is something I said to you before, but like, I feel like I was aware of your band first, like through your friendship with them. Cause like you guys started collabing quite early on. And you're from a similar area, right? Cause I feel like they almost have their moments slightly before you, and it's now your turn almost,
Yeah, we're both from Orlando. We both started our bands nearly around the same date, and we both worked in the same studio. We both played the same shows, like underground shows. So they're great dudes, very good friends of ours, kind of like a brother band, and maybe potentially do some more stuff together. So that would be cool. But yeah, they're a great band.
And just one more thing back on the UK subject I was going to ask before. Have you been over this way just in your personal life before? Have you got much experience with the UK and Europe?
I wish I had. No, I don't even think the only time I've ever been out of the United States is when I went to Canada for a tour.
Okay.
And I've been to Hawaii. I know that's still the US, but that was like far away from the mainland.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No, I haven't. I have an irrational fear of flying sometimes. So it's not like the first on my list to get on a long flight. But honestly, the UK is not that far from New York. So if you go to New York, I think it's only like 6 hours or something.
Yeah, you can do it in 6 hours.
The Australia flight, I don't think I could ever do. That's too much.
Yeah.
I did New Zealand in one go from the UK, and it was like 24 hours, like non-stop traveling. It was brutal.
One flight, 24 hours.
Well, I wasn't aware, there's multiple flights, but all in kind of, consecutive order. So yeah,
that's nuts, dude.
Tough. I guess talking about releases, obviously you just brought out a new single, Delusional. You've had an album out this year. You've been releasing just loads of music, I guess, really. How's that all been received? And kind of what's your method around kind of releasing music, given I guess we're in this different world now where, like you talked about, the social media world, that there's a lot more artists just doing singles and not going down the record album kind of road. Kind of what's your approach as a band in that sense?
Well, our approach is, unfortunately, in today's day and age, you have to continue to release because that's what Spotify and Apple Music wants you to do for algorithm purposes. And also attention spans of everyone. I think it's kind of ruined music, to be honest with you. I think it's made it very desensitized. I think there's just so much. And I go back and forth with this all the time. I think a good song will always rise to the top no matter what. And I think that's proven. However, it's ruined albums. It's ruined the way people just ingest songs. And because song is complex. Songs are complex because a lot of art goes into this moment of 2 minutes. And sometimes it takes you a little while to unpack all of it. And sometimes you need to listen to that same song maybe 25, 35, 45, 150 times. And then, I mean, I did that with Blink. Like, it took me, like, I really analyzed that band in A Day to Remember and Relient K, like, excessively over the years. And then later on in my time being a musician, I started to unpack different things. And I don't even think you have to be a musician to do that, but I think it just ruins people's consumption of art. It's just too much. Like, if you get chocolate cake put in front of you every day, you're not going to want chocolate cake anymore for a long time. I don't know. I think that kind of happens is you just force fed sweets when you don't even really want them to some extent. However, the attention span of everyone is so short, so they'll forget about you regardless. If if you're not top of mind, there's just too much on the phone these days to distract you away from your favorite song or whatever. And everyone's different, but I think this is just, I'm talking about just like the mass population right now. That's what's going on. So jumping back into how the music's being received, I think it's being received well. We're rolling out some different styles of songs. Like, we did a cool indie track. This one's more alternative with Nick singing on it. We're dropping another song that's completely different from either of those next, and then we're dropping another song that's completely different from either of those next. This album's maybe 12 or 13 songs, and there's pairings of songs, whether they're 2 or 3, that kind of fit together in the genre, if you should say.
Yeah.
We have 2 hard songs. We have 2 or 3 alternative 90s style songs. We have some more mainstream type songs, and then we'll have like harder songs. It's all dependent. We just wanted to make something cool, and we thought everyone listens to music like a playlist nowadays. I don't think there's a lot of people going, all right, I'm listening to this whole album right now. Yeah. If you're casually listening, you're going to listen to either algorithmic playlist or just a playlist you made. And that's kind of how we treated this album. It's more like here's some moments, we're switching it up. Here's some moments, we're switching it up. Just switching it up, I'd say often.
So it's not going to be a case of like there's going to be like another single or whatever, and then it's all going to be dropped as an album. It's just going to be dropped, as you say, in these stages collectively, and then when it's done, it's like, oh, I guess that here's a collective album.
As an album.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be dropped as a collective album. We maybe have 2 to 3 more singles we will drop, either 1 or 2 more this year, and then maybe 1 at the top of the year, depending on how it all works out, because we're going to get a couple of collaboration tracks. And then as soon as that is done, I'd say the album will come out in early 2025. Okay. And then that will be the plan. But it's all going to come out together. We're just dropping about 4 or 5 singles prior.
Got it.
And you been working with different people on that, or have you been with Wade, or kind of who? Has it been a mixture, or what's the
Wade mainly, Andrew Karpovic, and John Feldmann. We wrapped up a couple of tracks with him.
Some familiar suspects for you then. Okay, that makes sense. Dialing it back really quick, and speaking of how music is received, did Mark Hoppus ever hear the Mark Hoppus song that you did a few years back? Did you have any indication?
He tweeted. I have that tweet frame somewhere in this room.
Nice.
He did tweet it. Yes, that was really cool. At the time, I was like, "Oh my god, that's nuts!" But so that happened. That was pretty cool. I would definitely like to work or meet with him one day because he's the GOAT.
Of course.
I guess looking forward, you talked about releases. What have you got lined up show wise for the rest of the year? I think you got a big show in Nashville in December with Kenny Hoopla and much else going on as well.
Yeah, we got that. There's this fairly big festival in Vegas called Neon Fest. I think that just got announced. I didn't even know it was getting announced yesterday, but that was I just got a new phone. I'm not even tied into our email yet, but yeah, there's a Neon Fest in late November. We're playing UCF versus Utah college football game, pregame show. Playing that. That's cool. And then yeah, the festival in Nashville is happening. So I think maybe that's it for this year. Maybe there'll be a holiday show sometime around December we'll do, but I think that's really it for 2024 because we've been on the road. We've been gone from our homes, I'd say roughly around 130, 150 days, something like that. So we've been, I think at the end of the year, we played like 75 shows this year or something, right around there.
Yeah, been a busy year for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about kind of potentially going in next year, finding the right fit potentially to come out to Europe and UK with like a band you look up to, but like who would be like top of like the pile in terms of a dream tour like support?
Oh, for sure. Blank is definitely number one. Always will be. I'd love to do a Day to Remember. I'd say it'd be a lot of fun. Reliant K is up there. We actually played a show with Two Door Cinema Club in Orlando. Those guys are awesome. Love that.
Really?
Yeah, they were sick. And that I love playing. They actually liked us. They're a cool band. We're obviously a little different, but I love to play with them. They have a great crowd and they're a great band. The UK guys, right? They're from Ireland.
I believe so. I don't know much about them. I know broadly their genre. We were doing press at Reading and Leeds this year, and we saw a little bit of their set, I think, didn't we, Nick? Like just walking past.
Yeah, we did briefly.
And outside of that, are there any kind of people on the hit list or dream people that you'd want to write with as well? Obviously, you've had the opportunity to write with some big names already in our world, but I mean, I assume like Mark Hoppus would be one, but like outside of that, is there any kind of anyone else you have in your sights that you'd really love to collab with?
Yeah, that's hard. It's a tough one. Yeah, obviously the Blink guys and Travis Barker, Mark would be cool. Wouldn't mind, definitely do some stuff with like a Day to Remember would be fun. With Jeremy, I don't think they're really too much, but eventually down the road that'd be cool. And believe it or not, I like to write with Howard Jones from Killswitch. I think that would be a lot of fun to work with him. Yeah. I've looked up to him a long time. I think he's one of the best singers and screamers. He's great. Off the top of my head, we got to work with Sean from Yellow Card. That was another amazing person. Yeah. He's an amazing person to work with. And I mean, obviously then it goes into the rap world. I'd love to work with like Little Uzi Vert and that'd be my number one rapper I would choose to do some stuff with. And yeah, I mean, it's really sporadic after that. Well, I'll say Chris Martin from Coldplay. He is unbelievable. So I would say that would be it for the list for me.
Yeah, I think we've taken a fair bit of your time, which we appreciate you giving it to us, Mark. I think, Nick, should we just finish with a quick fire and then we can probably wrap this up?
Yeah, go for it.
But if that's cool with you, Mark, we'll get into that and then we can wrap this up. Okay, favorite Blink song?
I have to say, I have to give you three because
that's allowed.
They are very so. It's either Shut Up, Roller Coaster, or four. All right, Shut Up, Roller Coaster, Feeling This, What's My Age Again? Those are mine. At any point.
Shut Up. I'm sorry, bro. Shut Up is a terrible song. I'm one of I see the arguments about that on Reddit, and I'm on the opposite side of you. But like that's a fun debate.
Like it, but it just connected with me, and when I was young, and it was like a simple song, but it really felt the words of that song. Like I just was like, wow, this is really what I'm going through. And and I know I like the aggressiveness of it. Yes, there's a lot of cursing and things like that, but if you're a kid in like suburban America, lower class suburban America, just want to get out of the fucking house and like I don't know, it just kind of like resonated with me as like a punk rock vibe.
Fair enough.
Okay, next one then. Favorite 408 song?
Favorite 408 song. I would say I was most pleased with writing a song like Over the Edge in the sense of like, wow, we did something really out of the box for us here. But oh man, that's real tough because it's just really tough to say, like because we've kind of changed and done so many different sounds, and I do like Break Up With Your Girlfriend. I think that's a cool song, but I mean it's really tough. Like there's a lot of good songs like Remember Her, like that's cool, and maybe something like the new album that comes out will be my favorite. I have to say now my new favorite song of ours that's coming out is a song called Incomplete. It's like a harder song.
Okay.
So when that comes out, that will be my new favorite.
So that's up there. Okay. Soccer or NFL?
World Cup is number one.
Okay.
Then it's NFL number two. So I got to give it to soccer for World Cup.
Okay.
Right, club soccer, no. NFL I like better, but international soccer I like better.
Okay, favorite food?
Iranian food. So I'm actually Persian, and I love my native cuisine. I'm sure you guys got some cool spots over there in the UK. Yeah,
we do.
Love Persian.
We
food.
do, especially in London, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And final question: favorite record of all time?
Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Yeah, I mean, from your answers for the Blink song, it sounded like that was your favorite Blink record. I think is that your one as well, Nick?
That's my favorite record. Yeah.
It's just
Enema for me, boys. Enema, it has to be.
Enema is good. Enema is very good. It's just Take Off Your Pants and Jacket's production. I don't know if you've ever really analyzed this, but if you go back and listen to it, it sounds like it was recorded today. Like, and I don't think anyone's even replicated how good that record sounds. And I'm sure a ton of money's dropped doing it, but the sounds of the record and the way it sounds and what they were saying. And, I know there's some song like, there's obviously the rock show and everything like that on there, but I like the deep cuts of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Well, I will say Anima has some very good deep cuts as well. Like Party Song's amazing, Anthem. Mutt's good. It's just Dumpweed, so it's hard to say, but that's the reason why I would pick Toy Patch, just because it was I think it shaped production, what people chased for years, and they still try to chase that sounds to an degree,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess one last question, staying on the Blink theme. If you could only keep one voice out of the two, who are you keeping, Mark or Tom?
I would always say Mark, but if all time, you got to give it to Tom, just because of what he's done with Boxcar and Angels and things like that. And this is sacrilegious for me to say that because he was always my favorite. But I don't know, Mark on the newer stuff, like he had some really cool moments, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like this is him for sure. But I don't know if they just used like too many different writers or whatever it was, but there was just some moments on the newer stuff I was like, I don't know, like it's just not really. Sometimes I feel like, and I would tell them this to his face, like I know he's went through a massive amount of health stuff, and I think everyone had him in his prayers, and I'm very, very happy he's alive and healthy. But I also think that he goes too low, like he almost is afraid. And I've seen this live too. It's like they almost drop things down to a point where it's like you don't really need to go that low. You can still sing, like when you push and go for it, it still sounds great.
Yeah.
So I think if he did that more and got more confident, maybe he's rebuilding confidence in his voice after going through all that. I think he still has it. He still has it when he tries, and not saying that he isn't trying, but I think he could be less safe. And I think that's what made me fall in love with him and emulate him and want to be like him, was all the previous records, obviously, and some of the newer stuff. But even on California, I think he sounded pretty damn good there too. So
great,
Mark. But all time, as of right now, Tom is standing the test of time with his voice.
Not Matt Skiba then.
It wasn't an option.
Matt Skiba on Cynical sounded great. There's two songs Matt Skiba was very good at. It was Cynical, and it was one off the 9 record. It was something staring at the bass. No Heart, I think, to speak of.
Oh, No Heart to Speak of. Yeah. When he really pelted it on the chorus.
Incredible work on him. So, good job.
All right, man. Thanks so much for doing this. Yeah, it's great to see the 408 going from strength to strength. We'll obviously keep an eye on you guys, and there's a couple other things that we're potentially doing with you that we've been talking to Nick about. So, hopefully
awesome.
I'll pass across again soon, dude. But yeah, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was fun, guys. Thanks for talking.
Nice one.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, Mark.
All right.